Okay. Action. Okay, so my name is Michael Parker, and we are doing a demo library. This is Chella Foster, who is going to be helping us with these series of demos. Chella, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chella. We'll be helping out, and yeah.
Okay, so hopefully the audio is not too terrible as we get into this. Today we're going to be demoing a series of cardboard exercises and how to kind of quickly and efficiently join cardboard together. Okay, so maybe you can tilt that one down. And we're getting better at this. All right, so we are in COVID, so we're doing COVID safety. We have 5 fans kind of around our workspace. And we have open windows in the wood shop CNC room and in the larger room back there. We just kind of disinfected all our tools and wiped things down and sprayed the table. One thing that you're going to note is that we have a series of tools. So these are our, maybe you can do a bird's eye as well. We are practicing, and Chelsea's going to be giving me orders as well. So we have a series of kind of cutting tools. These are box cutters. This is my preferred box cutter for working with cardboard. It's a little larger and has a blade dulls. You can snap off the blade. So if you're thinking that you're going to be making art for a long time, I would highly recommend investing in a high quality Olfa style. This is actually a DeWalt brand box cutter. But these are tried and true. These are awesome. And we have a ton of them here at SOU sculpture program that you can borrow. And because it's COVID, you can check one out for duration. Okay, so we've prepped a series of pieces of cardboard. I'll call these triangles, and I'll call these band-aids throughout today. We have pieces of cardboard, and what we're going to be doing is we're basically going to be showing you just quickly how to attach corrugated cardboard. So some things that are pretty interesting, I think, about cardboard is that I'm going to go to this camera, I think, is that you can see the almost the undulating pattern. It's almost like a sound wave. And that structure of curves that gives the cardboard a lot of strength, a lot of compressive strength. Without cardboard, so much of our contemporary world would not be possible. Everywhere from the COVID vaccine being shipped around and all the materials and all the PPE, none of that would be able to so many people are relying on delivery services for everything. And so if you just think about it in that way, cardboard is kind of everything. One of the properties of corrugated cardboard is that you can bend it easily along the corrugation, but it's hard to bend it against the corrugation. And so we can use that both to our advantage, and we can choose to fight it. And so throughout today, I'm just going to be kind of like playing with cardboard and moving it in different ways. Okay, so that's one piece of cardboard. I think a great way to start is to take a cardboard box and just kind of show you how it's made. It's one piece of cardboard that's been glued together. So here, hopefully in the overhead shot, you can see the full sheet. And it's basically been die cut with a giant, you can think of it as a giant cookie cutter that cuts a sheet of cardboard into these. And at the same time as it cuts it, it puts these breaks in it. Basically these crimps, these folds. So one thing you can quickly do to make a shape out of cardboard that I love, and I like wood glue, is my preference for cardboard. It works fast. It's pretty efficient cost-wise, and I guess this one's not full. So hold on, bear with me for a second. I'm going to show you the centrifugal force, so you can kind of whip it, and that will send the glue rushing forward. And then you open it up. And, boop, boop. And so with that cut right there, with that amount of glue right there, you can take your finger and give it a quick, you want to make sure there's no tape. And there is a little tape right there. So I'll remove that tape. No tape on that side. You take it on here and you hold that and you take it over there and you hold that. I overshot the glue a little bit. And then I just basically am going to press it together for about 15 to 20 seconds for a nice secure set. If I use too much glue, it'll take too long to set up to basically dry. Hot glue has to cool. So if you use hot glue, you have to. If you use too much, it will take too long to cool. Okay, so now it's joined, and so very quickly, I can just do the same thing over here and over here, and I'm now kind of quickly trying to learn how to do this. And on our final one, I'll do it correctly, since it is a demo of how to use a pencil or a line. And I'm actually going to use a Sharpie so it shows up a little bit more obviously for video. So I'm just holding it together for 10 or 15 seconds. 20 seconds maybe. And there's just a very quick way to make a shape, a form. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just very quickly going to, so if it comes apart, no problem. I'm rushing the glue's drying process because of this demo, and I'm just going to hold it back together. I don't mind a little glue on my fingers. Press it again. So then this time what I'm going to do, and what I should have done from the beginning, is I should have taken a Sharpie, or actually a pencil, and I'll do it on this side. So I should have lined it up and gone like that. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. And since this pesky one keeps separating on me, we'll check that too. So you can see this shape. And then what I can do is I can add more glue to here because I know that's going to have an overlap. I'll do it there. I'm going to spread it out so we get a larger surface area that's glued. One thing you can do, because you can move so fast, is you can use these little clamps. And so right now I'm out of hands. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run over to our clamps. Chella, you can follow me over. Oh, wonderful. So we have all these clamps. Okay. And so I'm going to clamp that side, and then there and there. And so now I'm just going to hold this, and I'm going to move it over here, and I'm just going to set it aside. But what you can see is that very quickly we created an angular yet curving shape. And so you can imagine if you collect 10, 15 boxes, you can very quickly make a large shape out of this that can then be a part of other stuff. So I discovered the pesky reason why that was not staying so glued. I forgot to remove the tape. Okay, no problem. Add a little more glue. So if you are doing the math with me, I have done 0 cuts so far. Not a single cut has been made to make this first shape. And so now that one down there, I'm just going to switch it. Okay. So that's our first kind of make a cardboard thing with very limited stuff. So I'll quickly just do a quick demo of how to safely cut cardboard using a knife. So if I want to make a triangle, I take a nice piece of metal, a metal sharp edge, straight edge, and I just take my blade and I make sure it cuts through. So I want to demo how to, so if you notice it kind of was a little messy. So if you have this kind of a blade, it comes with a little blade snapper, and you just basically snap the blade. You make sure that you dispose of this in a razor area. And then I can show you that I can make another triangle that is not quite as rough. And then with 1, maybe 2 cuts to get it through. You can do the same thing with one of these. These ones actually did not change the blade out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick demo of how to change the blade out. Again, I'll just use this computer screen. So you take the screwdriver, you unscrew this. We have a 100-pack, huge pack of approachable blades. It's much safer to use a sharp blade than to use a dull blade. A sharp blade will be sticky, and many of the blades will have a clean second side. You just take that unused, flip that in, make sure it's in the right location. I like to start from it in neutral, put it back there. And check it. And this is not a normal one that I use, but this is kind of the reality of these, is that they take a little bit of finessing every time you do it. And it's something not to be frustrated by, except if you're doing a demo. And then you check it by squeezing it together before to make sure it's running in the right track. And you're squeezing it together with your thumb and index finger or middle finger in this case. And you can take stock of the fact that one of the things that makes you human is that you have opposable thumbs while you're working this and you're able to use tools. Okay, not a big deal. And then you test it to make sure it works. And then you take it here. So one thing you'll note, and Chella, if you could maybe just like note that my body positioning here is that I never ever will cut towards my thigh. That is a trip to the emergency room. And I never ever cut with my thumb out like this. That's again, a really fast trip to the emergency room. So what you wanna do is you wanna take this here, and that's a nice clean cut. So I'm actually gonna skip my probably slightly abused blade that I've probably been using to cut cardboard like this. And you can actually see on the blade, there's some wear and tear on the blade back here. So I was probably, last time I used this blade, I was probably using it in a longer way to cut something. So I'm gonna take that one and I will just set it to the side. Okay, so we have some triangles, we have some Band-Aids, we've cut them up. So how do you use these? So you take, one way to do it is you take your cardboard, you take your corrugation, you take advantage, and you just make a bend, right? And I'll do it this way. So if you take this and you go like that and you put a little bit of glue, you can make this stand up. So again, I have my centripetal force here. I put just a teeny bit of glue, teeny bit of glue. Now what you're gonna see is that there's such a small surface area of this right here, holding it. And hopefully you can see that in one of the camera angles, that it does take some effort. So one way I can do it is I can take advantage of these Band-Aids if I'm trying to work really quick. And I can, while I'm kind of holding that, I can take a little there, take a little there, and get another Band-Aid over here, give it a little bend, give it a little bend, take that there. So notice I'm holding with one hand, and I could have put the glue on these Band-Aids first. And for my next triangle, that's what I would do. But I think it's always important to remember that even those of us who have been working with cardboard for 20 years, if we haven't sat front of cardboard in a few months, we forget things. And so just be gentle to yourself and allow this to be a process. So what I'm doing, and I hope you can see that on one of these camera angles, is I'm basically using my fingers in kind of a contorted way. Jill, if you want to get in there, yeah, and really kind of note how I'm doing that. So I'm pressing it in, and then I'm going to use my other hand, again with my glue here. And you can see that that one didn't really hold yet. And I'm just going to kind of hold that there. And I'm really just holding that there because this is a little bit more of a tricky one. And I don't want to sit here for an hour holding this. I can kind of start to check it. And so one thing you can do is it's always this first one that's going to take the longest is to get this initial. And so another trick you can do is you can basically find just like a piece of wood, or you can find a clamp, you can find a book, you can find your computer, you can find basically anything that can just kind of help you. But I think that a good 15 to 30 second just finger hold is all you really need for just classic uncoated corrugated cardboard. So let's see. Okay, it's not strong yet, but it is holding. So now I'll just transfer it over here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use nothing over here to hold it. I'll use the clamp that will just help slightly make it so it doesn't spring out. Okay, so we've just used Band-Aids and we've just used cardboard. An easier and more straightforward way, right? Which is very similar to the large piece we made. Let's say we just want to do that. We just want to glue those together. Kind of a lap joint, if you will. So there's a lot of surface area. So with cardboard, you can really just glue one side. With wood, I always want to recommend that you put glue on both sides of your joint. But with cardboard, it's really fine just to put glue on one side and just a finger. You're not making something that's permanent. You're not making something that can't kind of easily be re-glued if it breaks. But here again, I'm just going to press. This is such a huge surface area that this won't take as long. So literally at this point, in just 3 seconds, the glue will hold it. So you can see that depending on how much tension, so I'm holding it upside down, it's still not falling. So depending on how much tension you have, those other joints had bends in them, they had angles, they were just having small amounts of surface area. Here, there's no physics really fighting it. So when I do flip it upside down, that is gravity. And I literally only held that together for maybe 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. Okay, so, and what you can do is once that's done, you could then put a bend over there, a bend over there. Okay, so the last thing I think I want to show in this little demo is how you can use your tool, not with the blades, but as a way to essentially get basically the factory crimp thing for yourself. So it's at an angle to the corrugation. So you take again a nice straight edge. Now I've retracted the blade, so there is no blade, and I take this kind of pointy end, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it. So I press hard, and it might take you 1 or 2 or even 3 times to really get a nice clean score. But so you can see that's kind of what it looks like. And then what I'm going to do is you'll see this as I close it together. You'll see that. And what I'm going to do is as I flip it over, you'll see that that is basically a perfect, clean, nice, clean angle. So those kind of first triangles that I was showing you were essentially a 90 degree. But what I want to show you is that you can kind of then start to make some more exaggerated, more asymmetrical shapes really easily. So you would use the same process. You would add the Band-Aid there, you would add a Band-Aid here, and you would set it in. And you can take before you glue it, you can kind of join that. You can make a little mark. Oops. You can make a little mark as to where you want it. So you can kind of mark there, you can mark there, and then you can kind of mark, and I'm just eyeballing it right now. And then what you can do is you can cut that. And so sometimes you can just freehand the cutting of the cardboard. So that's just a quick freehand. So this is where this piece is going to fit, right? And so you can get it, and you can make Band-Aids out of scraps like this. So that can become a Band-Aid, right? And that shape of Band-Aid might be a little bit more appropriate than a rectangle visually if you have a triangular Band-Aid. And what I would recommend, and in the first demo I did on both sides because I was kind of thinking about the camera, but in reality it's better to have one Band-Aid on one side of a triangle and then your other Band-Aid on the other side. So I will say that that is an improvement in your Band-Aid technique. Okay, so I think that just about wraps up. Chella, before I end, do you have any questions, or do you think that we've kind of missed anything that would be important for kind of a first day, an afternoon of card cardboard playing?
I think the only thing that I'm noticing in this demo is the kind of impressive scale increase that you got in like 1 minute, especially with that first piece.
Yeah.
Like it can be kind of daunting when you're first making sculpture to actually figure out how to take up space, but cardboard is a really efficient way to do that. And you can see that it can happen on any scale, but large scale is really easy.
Yeah, so let's revisit. Okay, so this one, right? This one that Chell points out, it took a few minutes to make, right? And we didn't show making all the triangles or the band-aids or cutting this piece of cardboard down. So altogether, this probably would take an experienced person at least 10 or 15 minutes to make. This one, which I'm now removing the plant, so this has now been sitting for, I don't know, 5 minutes. Here we have a piece that's now 2 feet by 16 inches approximately. It's pretty strong. It's pretty sturdy. It can become a musical instrument. It can become a vessel for something else. So imagine this being filled with little, marbles or something like that. And so one of the things that I'm hoping is that in these demos that we're making is that we kind of show at the end of this kind of playfulness and kind of what is possible. So you could even imagine making some sort of an adaptive piece for yourself. You can make some sort of a mask apparatus that changes how you interact in public space. You can make some sort of protective clothing or swimwear. You could make something that can constrict a leg so that you wrap this around your leg completely, and the only way you can interact is by hopping. And so I think that it's important when you're thinking is that you just get started. And so I do want to kind of really emphasize getting started and not having the answer in mind is an important element to sculpture, an important element to making. One of the things I'm hoping is that you can have time this quarter to learn how to think with your hands and with the materials around you, whatever they may be. Okay, I think anything else?
I think that sounds great.
Okay, so a little technique, a little something else too. All right, thank you very much for watching.